This is CBS.
Up next on the 10 p.m. report,
big changes for two major shopping mall parking lots. Changes to delight the shoppers.
Growth in northeastern suburbs prompts anger from elementary school parents.
Minnesotans shine tonight in Atlanta.
In Dimension, the undersea world of Great Lakes and what is being discovered about our food.
And we'll review the new movie, Die Hard.
I'm Pat Miles.
I'm Don Shelby. The 10 p.m. report is next.
Real funny stuff, kids.
Your delivery was awful.
Your timing stinks.
Yeah, well, you've got ring around the collar.
Oh, now you're funny.
Wardrobe.
What's the problem now?
You didn't use whisk.
Oh?
Francis, powders don't cut it in this business. You gotta use whisk. It cleans the ring around the collar and the whole wash.
Pretty versatile performer.
Thanks. And no more ring around
the
the collar? Your timing still stinks.
Whisk for clean collars and a cleaner wash.
Listen to the heartbeat. Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh, yeah.
Moving into more car doesn't have to be expensive or boring. Today's Chevrolet Celebrity. It's for people who've grown up without growing old.
The heartbeat of America. That's the day Chevrolet.
I'm an international kind of guy. And I hear there's these hot new international chicks at Burger King, but which one? I mean, they won't be around long, and the toppings could drive a guy like me crazy. Do I check out the Italian chicken sandwich? Melted mozzarella and bella sauce, or the French, dressed to perfection with très delish ham and Swiss, or the American, totally overflowing with American cheese and veggies. So many chicks, so little time.
We do it like you do it at Burger King.
Dayton's, one of the Twin Cities' most visible businesses, is expanding in a big way as some hefty competition plans to move in on its turf.
WCCO Television presents Pat Miles, Don Shelby, Mike Fairborn, and Mark Rosen. This is the 10 p.m. report.
Good evening, everyone. Dayton's is one of the local stories we'll look at first tonight before doing our own convention coverage from Atlanta.
Dayton's department stores tonight are planning changes for the way many of us shop and the way it does business. Dayton's is expanding, building 2 new stores at Southdale and Rosedale. Both would open in at least 3 years. The old stores would then stay open until then and eventually be sold back to the shopping malls. If you're familiar with Southdale, the new Dayton's will be to the northwest of the current store. Right now, that area is a parking lot. The new store would be about 10% bigger. And at Rosedale, the new Dayton's will be directly west of the current Dayton store, and there the new Dayton's will take an even bigger jump in size. It will be close to a third larger than the old store. Mike Walsher has more on this story tonight and on some of the forces affecting department store business in the Twin Cities.
Dayton's promises visually exciting and bigger stores to replace the ones at Southdale and Rosedale. That prospect pleases one customer.
That sounds great to me. Bigger and better. More shops. More I can teach my granddaughter to shop until she drops.
In the next couple of years, Dayton's faces a fight for customers, a fight from the Mall of America in Bloomington, from Saks, from Nordstrom's, and from Neiman Marcus.
No, this is not being done because of any specific new competition coming to town.
But in the same breath, Watson says the company has to have better, more attractive department stores.
Every facility must be regularly upgraded. If you don't, people over time will lose interest.
Carson Pirie & Scott, which bought out Donaldson's, says it welcomes the attention and extra shoppers the new Dayton's will bring to Southdale and Rosedale.
Those are 2 very strong centers for us, which means that there'll be more customers coming into there, and we'll have more of the moderate to upper moderate customers for our particular base. So from the news, I'm very excited about it.
The new Dayton's will be built with the full blessing of Rosedale and Southdale. In fact, they're kicking in $110 million to fix up the malls and turn the existing Dayton's into small shops. I'm Mike Walsher, WCCO Television News, the Twin Cities.
Dayton's is part of the Dayton-Hudson Corporation, and so is Target. A Dane Bosworth analyst tonight told us that Dayton's department stores expansion may also be to keep up with Target's fast growth.
Late today, the Minnesota Public Utilities Commission approved a $73 million rate increase for NSP, and that means the average customer will face a 7.5% monthly increase. That amounts to about $2 a month, but that is actually less than what customers have been paying recently. NSP imposed an interim rate increase earlier this year. It was higher than the PUC approved, so the utility will be refunding the difference. Tonight, nearly 100 parents in the Mounds View School District attended a special public hearing to protest a proposed boundary change that would force more than 600 elementary students to change schools. Population growth in the eastern part of the districts in suburbs like Shoreview and Arden Hills prompted school administrators to expand some elementary schools like Turtle Lake to hold more students. But that will mean more changes for students.
One of the ladies in our neighborhood, for example, her son will have been in his fourth school by the time he hits 6th grade, and they have not moved from the area. I think it's unfair to the kids.
District administrators say they considered building a new school, but it cost too much. A final decision on the restructuring won't be made until after another public hearing, which will be held this fall. Pat.
Tonight, the condition of a little girl named Akeisha has been upgraded to satisfactory. The 4-year-old South Minneapolis girl is recovering from a brutal beating and rape. Today, the 17-year-old Wright County boy accused in the crime was formally charged. Christian Gisselson was charged with 2 counts each of rape, assault, and kidnapping. The prosecutor in the case says he will seek to have Gisselson tried as an adult. Today, murder charges were filed against a 13-year-old Coon Rapids boy in connection with last week's beating death of a 22-month-old girl. The infant, Mary Olson, was at her babysitter's house when the boy and his 12-year-old friend allegedly beat her. Under state law, children under age 14 cannot be tried as adults, so if convicted, the boy would serve time in a juvenile facility until he turns 19 years old.
Tonight, residents of a dormitory-style home for young women in downtown Minneapolis met to consider their options. All 64 women who live at the Kate Dunwoody Hall are being evicted because officials there can't figure out who is responsible for setting 4 recent fires. Hall officials say the evictions are the last resort, but safety is the main concern. Republican Senator David Durenberger today filed the appropriate papers to make him an official candidate for re-election. Durenberger's opponents in the fall Senate race is Minnesota Attorney General Skip Humphrey. U.S. Attorney General Ed Meese was in Minneapolis today. He spoke to the Association of District Attorneys. This was the same day independent counsel James McKay went public with the investigation of Mr. Meese. McKay says the Attorney General, who has announced his resignation, probably filed a false tax return, likely failed to pay taxes on time, and probably broke a criminal conflict of interest law. But McKay says he decided not to seek criminal charges against Mr. Meese because there is no evidence that the Attorney General did so for personal gain.
The Democrats kicked off the opening night of their national convention this evening with a parade of political stars, including some Minnesota luminaries, as well as a show of unity. Skip Loescher and Colleen Needles are in Atlanta, heading up the Twin Cities' largest media delegation. Skip and Colleen.
Well, this convention has just adjourned for the evening. Earlier, Jimmy Carter addressed the group, and he received a very warm welcome. And another very touching moment this evening came when the delegates paid homage to a man who has given most of his adult life to this party.
And that tribute, of course, Colleen, was for Fritz and Joan Mondale. But the Democratic nominee of 4 years ago had to share the moment with a group which isn't even here, as members of the Minnesota delegation also waved Twins Homer hankies.
This was a big night for Mondale and for the other 90-some delegates who are here from Minnesota. Now, Pat Kessler is on the floor where those delegates are going home for the evening. Pat?
Colleen, everyone is going home. They've been going home for a few minutes now, and it looks like, well, they're holding signs up, but everybody is going home eventually. Let me tell you, it's the first time in nearly 40 years that Minnesota has not played a prominent role at a national Democratic convention, but that definitely does not mean that Minnesotans did not play a role at all tonight.
Minnesota's favorite son in 1984 caused quite a stir here in 1988. When Walter Mondale entered the hall to take his seat with the delegation, the entire convention gave him a spontaneous tribute. St. Paul Mayor George Latimer left his delegate seat to deliver a speech. He introduced fellow Mayor Andrew Young of Atlanta. And then there was Garrison Keillor. He lives in New York City now, but says he calls Minnesota home. And to give the Democrats a just plain folks image, Keillor talked about Midwestern values and sang the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light, what so proudly.
Well, it's been quite a night for a lot of people here, including J.P. Auer from Hutchinson, Minnesota, first-time delegate. Tell me, what do you think so far?
Well, it's been a great experience. It's just been exciting, as more than I could possibly have imagined.
Now, Skip and Colleen, it's JP's anniversary tomorrow night, but he is here. His wife is in Hutchinson. You got anything to say?
Well, she's in Wilmer, and I just want to say hi and I love you.
There we go. Tonight, happy anniversary. Skip and Colleen?
All right, thank you, Pat. The keynote address is intended to rouse the delegates, and tonight it did just that. Texas State Treasurer Ann Richards wowed the crowd with a combination of down-to-earth talk and down-home humor.
He can't help it. He was born with a silver foot in his mouth.
Richards described Jesse Jackson as a leader who opens hearts and minds, and she said Michael Dukakis has a remarkable sense of what's really important in life.
There have been a lot of questions, of course, about whether those two men could work together or whether they'd simply fight it out on the convention floor. But today, that suspense was put to rest as Jackson and Dukakis pronounced themselves united. Jackson said there'd be no floor fights over the vice presidential spot, but that he would continue to push for his platform issues. Dukakis insisted there were no deals, no fine print, that he welcomed Jackson's help. He'll need it.
And a very smooth start for the Democrats here tonight. And that's about it for now. We will be back after the news with a special report on the convention. Tonight we're going to look at Walter Mondale's role 4 years after he was his party's choice for president. That will follow the 10 p.m. report. Don and Pat.
All right, thank you both. There is one international item of importance tonight. The country of Iran has unconditionally agreed to a ceasefire in its war with Iraq. Iraq has already agreed to the United Nations resolution. The 8-year war has already claimed more than 1 million lives.
Minneapolis police arrested a theft suspect today. Not much news in that, you say. Hang on. He'd been arrested before, and upon that hangs the tale. The man arrested was Frank Govenda. 16 years ago, he killed a cop. He was convicted of gunning down Lieutenant Eno Suick of Minneapolis PD in cold blood. He got out this year, did 16 years of a life sentence. Word was out that he was back pulling crimes. Deputy Chief Bob Lutz picks up the story today when Govenda and Officer Marvin Hansen found themselves by coincidence in the same restaurant.
Sergeant Marv Hansen had met his wife at Aunt Nora's restaurant on Lake Street and 19th in South Minneapolis, saw Frank Govenda in the restaurant and told his wife, "That man over there has murdered a policeman. You go home. I've got to stay here."
What Hansen, a juvenile officer now, meant was that he had a suspicion, and it was confirmed when Govenda ran from the restaurant, allegedly with $500 of the cafe's money. Hansen pursued, pulled his weapon, and Govenda is back behind bars tonight. Was Hansen surprised?
Well, it was kind of surprising when you see somebody who's been in prison for 16 years. And we had information that he'd just been released. And all of a sudden there he comes running out. You know, I thought maybe it was an armed robbery, but it turned out it was a felony theft.
Officer Hansen gets the thanks of his fellow officers and quite likely a medal for his hunch. His wife likely will get to finish her lunch on the house.
The ultimate in Buick luxury, performance, and style is the magnificent Buick Park Avenue. Now, for a limited time, get $1,000 factory cash back when you buy any new Buick Park Avenue. The selection is great, but these bestsellers won't last long. You'll also save up to $400 more on Park Avenues equipped with Buick's value option package. Combined, your savings can add up to $1,400 in one of the world's favorite luxury cars. But hurry, this offer won't last forever.
The great American road belongs to Buick.
It's the Wise Buy sale at Menards with savings for smart shoppers. Glidden Endurance stains are on sale now, and the name says it all. Glidden stains give beautiful, long-lasting protection to your home, your deck, fencing, and more. Save on easy-to-use latex stains or deep penetrating oil stains on sale now in over 50 colors, just $7.98 per gallon. That's Glidden stains from Menards Wise Buy sale.
America's heartland at Menards.
While the salads most restaurants serve have an abundance of lettuce, they don't seem to have an abundance of much else. At Perkins, however, we make our 10 summer salads with generous helpings of the freshest ingredients to create masterpieces. Of course, while most art is for people to look at, you'll find a better use for ours. And now we'll serve your salad in 10 minutes or less, or your next one's free.
Come drive a Mazda.
Come drive a Mazda 929. Exceptionally well appointed, with a bigger V6 engine than Acura Legend, more interior room, longer warranty coverage, and a sticker price $19.55 less than Acura. And now you can lease a 929 from your Mazda dealer.
Come drive a Mazda.
See your Mazda dealer in Richfield, Brooklyn Center, White Bear, St. Paul, and Minnetonka.
Tonight in Dimension, we will focus on the largest chain of freshwater lakes on the planet, the Great Lakes.
And we'll show you some underwater research involving some Minnesota scientists as they look at the lakes in a way we have never looked at them before.
Most of what we report about the Great Lakes involves the way they affect us. In 1986, stories from Lake Superior, the Great Lakes were at record high levels, causing erosion on Minnesota's North Shore. More recently, Lake Michigan has made news as a result of the drought. A plan to divert water from Lake Michigan through the Illinois River and into the Mississippi has come under fire from Great Lakes states. Also in the mix are a growing number of stories about how we affect the lakes.
For instance, the taconite mining industry in northern Minnesota was once blamed for polluting Lake Superior. That was immediate concern, but what's the long-term effect of years of pollution in Superior and throughout the Great Lakes? A University of Connecticut study is providing some answers, bringing scientists and special equipment from throughout the country to study the inner workings of the lake. Minnesotans are involved. Mike Strand reports on research once common only to the great oceans.
It's very quiet. A lot of the submarine sounds that maybe the old movies used to have, with air bubbles and all of that. All of that occurs in this type of a submarine, and it's really quite interesting.
Until 3 years ago, scenes like this one on the floor of the Great Lakes were so rare they might as well have been from Mars. University of Minnesota chemist Steve Eisenreich is one of 35 scientists from schools across the country who are studying how the Great Lakes work.
The ultimate mission really is to understand the system in sufficient detail so we can offer recommendations on how to manage this resource. And as a result, what we see now, I think, are incidences of fish being contaminated with organic compounds, even in Lake Superior, such that fish advisories are given, which is a shock to a good many people, because everyone certainly thought that Lake Superior was very clean, very pristine.
But the combination of scientific ignorance about the lakes and benign neglect took its toll. Organic chemicals, such as toxic PCBs, lodge themselves within lakebed organisms. When the sediment is disturbed, these pollutants are again spewed into the water where fish feed upon them, moving up the food chain where they eventually reach our dinner table. And one of the biggest surprises was that now most of the contaminants in the Great Lakes come from the atmosphere.
It's a sort of global distillation process, a global cycling of these chemicals, something we did not anticipate even a few years ago.
Eisenreich has studied the Great Lakes for 10 years, and what worries him and other scientists is what synthetic chemicals or unknown pollutants they aren't finding.
Compounds generated by emerging technologies, like municipal incineration on a large scale, those represent a real problem because we don't understand what chemicals are being emitted, and we're not looking for them out there in the lake. If you scan the literature, there are probably 2,000 chemicals which have been found in one place at one time or another. But when you compare that to the 100,000 organic chemicals that are used in commerce and industry and in agriculture, then you realize we're just looking at a tip of the iceberg.
I'm Mike Strand, WCCO Television News, Minneapolis.
Just a couple other notes on that story. The research sub in Mike's story was the primary recovery vehicle used off Cape Canaveral following the Challenger explosion. And if you're wondering about that name you heard, Steve Eisenreich, that last name, the answer is yes. He is the second cousin to former Minnesota Twins player Jim Eisenreich, who is now finding a home with the Kansas City Royals.
Suddenly, a surprising development. The new Mitsubishi Mirage. You can tell your friends it has fuel-injected power. You can tell your colleagues it's priced less than Corolla, Civic, or Sentra. You can tell your family it has more room than all three. But the best news about Mirage is no other sedan this practical ever had this much style. The 1989 Mirage.
Mitsubishi, suddenly the obvious choice.
Welcome to the Cliffs Apartments. Elegant concierge class rentals. European kitchens. Unique living room designs appointed with style. Socialize in the cabana and have all the recreation of a country club. Enjoy an array of services, even a ride to work. The Cliffs. 545-2500.
You know, I used to think all gasolines were alike. They're not. See, I just got the car I always wanted. Fuel injected and everything. But every morning when I started, it would spit and sputter, and sometimes it would stop altogether. Then I discovered this place, Phillips 66, and high detergent, super clean, unleaded gasoline. Well, after a couple of tankfuls, I discovered something else. The problem wasn't my new car. It was my old gasoline.
I've got something for you.
A plain white t-shirt? Gee, thanks.
Oh, try it on. It's splashy.
Now, how do you figure?
Well, it's splashed with rivers, lakes, and legends.
Yeah, it's the legend of the blank shirt.
Not if it's a Minneapolis Aquatennial t-shirt.
Now that's flashy.
No, splashier than ever.
To order your shirt, send check or money order for $10 plus $1.50 postage and handling to Aquatennial Souvenir T-Shirt, 702 Wayzata Boulevard, Minneapolis 55403.
Pretty calm out there, and that's not necessarily good news, huh?
No, it really isn't. That was an interesting story on the Great Lakes. And I've got a Great Lakes fact for you.
What?
If you were to take all the water out of the Great Lakes and distribute it evenly over the United States, it would cover the land to a depth of 9 feet.
That's because they're so awfully deep.
They are very, very deep lakes. So I guess you could pump a lot of water out of there and still have a little left over.
Ooh, watch out what you say.
All right, let's not start that anyway. We had a nice day here in the Twin Cities today. The humidity was low, the temperature was up, enough wind to keep things stirred up. 89 degrees for the high temperature, 69 degrees for a low. And some clouds early this morning, before they cleared out, left a trace of rain at the airport. A little heavier amounts fell to the south and across southern Minnesota, but nothing for most of the cities here. Our satellite shows the clouds retreating over into Wisconsin. We've had some more clouds building up in the southern part of South Dakota. Those may drift over us throughout the daytime hours tomorrow. In fact, a general increase in cloud cover, a little upper air disturbance swinging down out of the north may even trigger some showers and thunderstorms across the northern part of the state. Maybe an increase in clouds for us. Most of the active weather has been in the east, quite a bit of shower activity. Also, a couple of severe weather watches have been in effect for parts of Wyoming and Colorado, and another one has just been issued now for western Kansas and again for eastern Colorado. Our winds for the next couple of days are going to be coming out of the northwest in the upper levels. That's good news for us in a way. It's going to be dry, but it's also going to be a little bit cooler, and we're not going to see any of that real high humidity return for a while, at least until this system all passes. The winds had been coming out of the west and the southwest, and let me show you why we ought to be glad that's not going to happen over the next couple of days. Look at the temperatures down here in the southwestern part of the country. 100s, 110s, and in Death Valley, California this afternoon, 127 degrees. Now that's only 7 degrees shy of the warmest temperature ever recorded in the United States, and that was 134 degrees also in Death Valley, California. So we've got some warm air building up to the south. Our weather map for tomorrow, the cool front that came through us over the weekend is going to stay to the south. That's going to keep us in the drier air and the cooler air, not as much humidity, and it's going to bring some rains to that part of the southeastern part of the country that's been just about as dry as we've been. Our temperatures in the meantime for tomorrow will again climb back up to near 80 degrees. Cooler air coming in from the northwest, going to stay hot out in the west, and slowly the next couple of days will warm up as the temperatures begin to climb back up to around 90 degrees for the weekend. Right outside right now, we're clear at 78 degrees, humidity 36%, a light north wind at 10 miles an hour, and 49 is the dew point. The barometer's on the rise. Tonight, our forecast calls for mostly clear skies, 62 for an overnight low with northwest winds at 5 to 10. Light winds again tomorrow, northwest 5 to 10. Near 80 degrees for a high, mostly sunny skies, but increasing clouds late in the day. maybe some showers passing through us tomorrow night. 58 for an overnight low. Showers will be ending, turning sunny by afternoon on Wednesday. A little cooler, though, only 78 degrees for a high. The extended outlook slowly warms us back up through the 80s to near 90 degrees by Saturday. Lots of sunshine, little or no chance of any rain, Don.
Thank you very much, Mike. You know, the summertime toast of Minneapolis is, of course, the Queen of the Lakes, and she will be crowned this Thursday at the Aquatennial Royalty Pageant at the Children's Theater. And tonight, the 50 Queen candidates were treated to a banquet here at the big studio at WCCO TV, compliments of Channel 4 and General Manager Ron Handberg. The women are already queens in their own rights, representing communities and festivals all over the state. The reigning queen is Jennifer Tallrood, who is a broadcast journalism major at the University of Minnesota. One of her last official acts as queen might be one of her first as a star.
Jennifer Tallrood, WCCO Television News, Minneapolis.
Yes! Yes!
McDonald's Shakin' Sunday Toppers. Shake it up, baby. Tear and pour. McDonald's got my flavor. Now I got my flavor. Don't want any more. Want any more? Chocolate chip, butterscotch, mint, crush, Oreo, shake it up, baby. Shake it up, baby. That's your McDonald's store. Shake it up.
Even the Germans can't keep a lid on a better beer. Heilemann Special Export.
Prior to owning the Chevrolet, I had a Ford. Well, I switched to the Chevy because I like the looks better than the Ford. I found out that they had completely redid the truck. You need a four-wheel drive truck. You don't want to have to get out and lock your wheels in. If you want to go into four-wheel drive, you can just shift into it. This Chevrolet truck is the best vehicle I have ever owned.
Heartbeat of America, that's the Chevy truck.
If you don't believe it, just go out and try it yourself.
Tailgating, it's a great tradition before every big Vikings game. Now here's your chance to get fired up at the ultimate tailgate party. It's the Vikings versus the Bears in Sweden. To enter, look for this display at participating Rainbow Foods. Then watch Wheel of Fortune weeknights at 6:30 on Channel 4. If we announce your name, you'll have 44 seconds to call in and win a tailgate kit or one of 2 trips to Sweden. It's the ultimate tailgate party from Coca-Cola at Channel 4, the Viking station.
Around here, you need a radio station that's not just a fair weather friend. When the weather starts moving fast, so do our weather updates. Turn to WCCO AM Radio 830.
Yes, it was one of those nights at Fenway Park in Boston where anything can happen. Even Kirby Puckett dropped the fly ball. The eventual game-winning run scored on Puckett's laps as the Twins lost 6-5 to the Red Sox. Of course, so one play does not make a game. Tonight, the Twins overall just were not themselves. On the bright side, they still came close to winning despite being out of sync in Boston. The Twins committed 2 errors, but like every game, someone comes up with a big play. Greg Gagne was practically in left field when he threw out Larry Parrish at first. Gagne booted one later in the inning. Also in the 5th, Marty Barrett took Bert Blyleven over the Green Monster. Blyleven's curve was not working again tonight. Barrett's first home run of the season. Boston had a 3-2 lead. What's wrong with Bert Blyleven? The Twins consistently hit the wall, and finally, Ken Hrbek put one over. Hrbek's 18th homer of the season made the score 6-4 in the 7th. Hrbek had his 4th 4-hit game of his career. The Twins had 15 hits tonight. In the 8th inning, the inning ended when John Moses got a little carried away in a fly ball. Mike Greenwell made the catch in left field corner and nailed Moses at first. Moses went past second on the fly ball. The game ended with a Gagne flyout with 2 men on. Boston now 5-0 since firing manager John McNamara. So if the Twins are to stay within 3 games of Oakland, the A's have to lose tonight. And they are losing right now 2-1 to Cleveland. Canseco at his 25th home run. Elsewhere, Milwaukee over the slumping Kansas City Royals 6-1. Detroit and Seattle 3-all in the 4th inning. The Yankees 7-2 over Texas. And Toronto charging right now 6-0 over California in the 2nd. It's not often our baseball highlights don't include any plays, but take a look at this. Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh lived up to its name tonight. Needless to say, the Pirates game with San Diego was rained out. If only they could pipeline some of that to Minnesota Farms. Wouldn't that be nice? In the National League, Cincinnati over the Mets 2-1. Well, Pittsburgh gained a half a game because the Mets did lose. The Mets now lead just 2 games over Pittsburgh. The Dodgers shut out St. Louis. Chicago 8-3 over San Francisco. Houston 6-1 over Montreal. And Atlanta, that's highlight 1. 9-8 Atlanta over Philadelphia in 11 innings. The last time Spain attacked England centuries ago, the Spanish Armada was dashed on the rocks along the British shore. Seve Ballesteros didn't need an armada, just some golf clubs to conquer the British. Ballesteros shot an incredible 6-under par 65 in today's final round. This stroke was the one that sunk Nick Price. On 16, Seve's second shot nearly found the cup for an eagle. His birdie gave him a one-stroke lead. On 18, Ballesteros in the rough. He's one of the best out of trouble. Watch the roll here. The 31-year-old nearly closed out with a spectacular chip in. The suave Spaniard could sense his third British Open was just moments away. Price had to sink this birdie putt at all costs to force a playoff. Price shot 70, 67, 69, 69 at the Open, but overshot that putt. Ballesteros tapped in for his $136,000 award on the same course he won his first major tournament back in 1979. He compared today with his victory in 1979.
The only difference, I just wearing the same clothes, white shoes and blue pants and blue sweater and white shirt, and the only difference is that I'm 9 years older.
So you need a little work with that old 5-iron. How about hitting 2 golf balls at the same time? Trick shot artist Larry Wedgie Winchester was out at Rolling Green Country Club today, part of the U.S. Open Seniors Tournament. Winchester dazzled the gallery with his command of the unusual, something he learned through frustration in regular golf.
Playing the regular golf, and I couldn't hit the ball, and my dad had a driving range, so I kept hitting balls and goofing off, and I could hit those, so it worked out a lot better than just regular golf. But it is hard work to start out with. You hit close to 1,000 balls a day, and then to me it's kind of ingrained, and some of the other guys have to keep at it all the time. That's their thing, and I have my thing. Like Trevino likes to talk when he hits golf balls, and other people like to be quiet. Well, I could be away from my trick shots for maybe 2 or 3 months and still hit my trick shots.
The old Wedgie must have command of his regular clubs as well. He had a hole-in-one, legitimately. Yes, he had a hole-in-one today on the 4th hole. Reports are it was with a normal club. Chip Lohmiller can't kick. He signed a 4-year, $900,000 contract with the Redskins. Of course, Lohmiller can kick, and that's why he was drafted number 1 by the Skins. The Woodbury native scored 254 points for the Gophers the past 4 years, and it is Dick Butkus who will be replacing Jimmy the Greek Snyder in the NFL today this fall. Butkus reportedly beat up his competition for the job, Lyle Alzado, Gary Fensick, and Jack Youngblood. Snyder was fired, of course, in CBS for those offensive remarks he made about black athletes. Butkus, I guess, will not pick winners of NFL games on CBS, which begs the question, just what in the world will he do on that show?
Look tough, I guess. And
he plays the part, doesn't he?
Keep Brent Musburger in his place.
All right.
When he has to be kept in his place. Thank you very much.
I'm going to bring my telephone out now when I play golf. When we continue, we're going to look at a new movie. The star actor does comedy on television, but in his movie, he acts more like Rambo.
I like my Chevrolet. It's not like any truck that I've driven, and I've driven Fords since 1975. And I needed a truck that I felt comfortable hauling lumber as well as driving clients around in. Well, if you punch it, it does really go. I really think Chevy has their act together. I really and truly think they're going to blow them away.
The heartbeat of America. That's today's Chevy truck.
It would be the truck to buy. There's nothing like it on the market. There really isn't.
It's a celebration of savings during Snyder Drugstore's July Jamboree Sale. Don't go anywhere without your Ever-Ready Energizer batteries in a variety of sizes, only $1.69. You save up to $1. Treat your hair with Revlon Flex Shampoo or Conditioner in assorted formulas. Get 3 for $4 during our Jamboree Sale. Special prices on the Mead Wireless Neatbook. The Snag-free notebook now just 67 cents. Look for your July Jamboree Sale catalog for more savings at Snyder's, the old corner drugstore, for today.
Some of our recent entertainment reports have focused on several movies all at once, but tonight just one. It is called Die Hard, and it stars the star of ABC's Moonlighting, Bruce Willis. Entertainment reporter Bill Carlson tells us about the film and then rates it on a scale of 1 to 10.
Mayday, mayday. Anyone copying Channel 9?
No. It's Channel 4. But if you'd calm down just a minute, we'll get your story told.
What idiot put you in charge?
Oh, it's not a matter of being in charge. I'm just going to tell the folks what I think of your story, Die Hard, in which Bruce Willis plays a New York City cop on vacation in California to visit his estranged wife and children. She, played by Bonnie Bedelia, is an executive of a very successful firm whose Christmas party is invaded by a group of terrorists, led by an intellectual gangster played by Alan Rickman. The unexpected and unidentified guest becomes a fly in the ointment, so to speak, for the terrorists, confusing their otherwise almost foolproof plan.
Mr. Mystery Guest. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Unless you want to open the front door for me.
Bruce Willis is perfectly cast. Part hero, part wise guy.
I was always kind of partial to Roy Rogers, actually.
There's actually not a whole lot of acting to be done, but there is a lot of running, a lot of jumping, shooting, and more explosions than the entire Korean conflict. Many scenes are so unbelievable as to be almost ridiculous, but for sheer brilliance in the art of pushing the Action Movie of the Year buttons, this film deserves at least 7 stars. And if you see his movie, Bruce Willis says,
I promise I'll never even think about going up in a tall building again.
Bill Carlson, WCCO Television News.
And that's where we're going to leave it for this Monday, July 18th.
Until tomorrow, good night, everyone.
Good night.
Uh-oh! Forgot to add the fabric softener. Thanks!
If only she knew about Solo. You can't forget the softener in Solo, because Solo is detergent and fabric softener in one. Solo gives you a clean so soft, it's actually fluffed up higher with softness.
Wait! I missed it.
Next time, get Solo. It cleans with a softness you can't forget.
Suddenly, a surprising development. The new Mitsubishi Mirage. You can tell your friends it has fuel-injected power. You can tell your colleagues it's priced less than Corolla, Civic, or Sentra. You can tell your family it has more room than all three. But the best news about Mirage is no other sedan this practical ever had this much style. The 1989 Mirage.
Mitsubishi, suddenly the obvious choice.
I'm an international kind of guy. And I hear there's these hot new international chicks at Burger King, but which one? I mean, they won't be around long, and the toppings could drive a guy like me crazy. Do I check out the Italian chicken sandwich? Melted mozzarella and bella sauce, or the French, dressed to perfection with très delish ham and Swiss, or the American, totally overflowing with American cheese and veggies. So many chicks, so little time.
We do it like you do it at Burger King.
Okay, our main message. No matter how you start the day, spend the day with the Light FM, 103 WLTE.
Weather Center 4, keeping you ahead of the storm. Atlanta 88. WCCO Television presents a special report from the Democratic National Convention.
Good evening to you from a nearly empty Omni Coliseum in Atlanta, Georgia, and welcome to our special Atlanta 88. Each night of this convention, we'll take a look behind the scenes and we'll attempt to do it with a Minnesota perspective.
And Skip, tonight we want to cover several stories. We'll see how former party leader Walter Mondale is adjusting to life as a delegate. We'll talk to our floor reporters about the Jackson-Dukakis peace treaty, and we'll hear from Garrison Keillor at center stage again.
This week, of course, Colleen, Michael Dukakis is square in the middle of the Democratic spotlight, and it is a spotlight in which Walter Mondale used to stand.
This convention might have been all Mondale had he won the election 4 years ago, but he suffered a resounding defeat. We spent some time with him this weekend talking about his new role in the party, a far cry from his days in the spotlight. Mondale's rise to national prominence began with Hubert Humphrey. When the Happy Warrior made headlines at the national conventions of the 50s and 60s, Mondale, the advisor, was by his side. In 1976, Mondale shared the spotlight as Jimmy Carter's running mate. 4 years later, the team returned, less upbeat and destined to lose the election. But Mondale wasn't finished yet. In 1984, he took center stage at the Democrats' convention.
I accept your nomination.
This was Mondale's favorite. He says mostly because his selection of running mate electrified the convention.
My name is Geraldine Ferraro.
It did not, however, wow the nation, and the ticket lost in a record landslide. Mondale is attending the Democratic convention for the first time as a spectator. He claims the change of pace is a bit of a relief.
You know, I've been to these conventions for so many years, and I've always got something to do that's dangerous. You know, I'm running for something or trying to help Hubert or trying to get nominated for president or vice president. This one, I can kind of just have some fun, be with old friends.
And when the media calls, serve as political advisor from time to time.
I believe Jesse will be a unifying force before the convention's over. Here are little histories in order. I have never been to a Democratic convention where we didn't find an issue to fight over.
You'll hear him quoted occasionally, but don't count on seeing Walter Mondale at the podium here. The National Committee will parade a long list of dignitaries at this convention, but Mondale, the party's nominee just 4 years ago, will not be among them. He wasn't asked.
And I think that's right. This is not about the 1984 election. This is about Dukakis and Benson, and that's what I would do if I were in their shoes.
Mondale's only official role at this convention is to host a conference for foreign dignitaries invited to study the democratic process.
And if you become an expert, you can write a book, and I promise to buy it because I don't understand it, and I would like to know what in the heck we're doing here half the time.
If this weekend is any indication, Mondale will be having more fun this time around, posing for pictures, goofing around with his hometown camera crew.
Say something to Minneapolis. I love Minneapolis.
And while Mondale will never be ignored by the media, his own party isn't exactly clamoring for his involvement. That can't help but hurt as he looks out over the convention hall this week, an event he used to dominate.
There's a little nostalgia there.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do what I did without remembering, and practically everybody at this convention I know, and I've worked with them, and a lot of people come and remember this to me, and I do.
Nice piece.
Thank you.
It really was. When we come back, we will ask Pat Kessler and Alan Cox down on the convention floor what kind of lessons these Democrats can learn from Mondale's 84 defeat. Stay with us.
It's a beautiful morning.
It's funny, but since McDonald's started serving hot handheld breakfasts, the world appears on everyone's doorstep by 7.
And just smile.
More folks are having breakfast with famous people.
Taking some clean, fresh air.
And the Pacific Ocean opens for business promptly at 9. Perhaps McDonald's sizzling bacon, hot McMuffins, and homemade biscuits can't take all the credit, but even the birds have noticed McDonald's is America's morning place.
The Nissan Maxima, after all, it's got the same fuel-injected engine as our Z-Car. It's loaded with executive perks, not to mention power everything. And for a limited time, you can get $1,000 cash back, making it one of the best investments on Wall Street or any other street. And you don't even need a broker.
This summer, take the ride of your life. Dodge bullets, leap from skyscrapers, and survive 127 blazing minutes of non-stop excitement.
Welcome to the party!
It's 40 stories of sheer adventure that will blow you through the back wall of the theater. Die Hard, rated R.
Now playing at selected theaters, starts Wednesday at theaters everywhere.
When Walter Mondale walked down the steps tonight, Skip, to the Minnesota delegation, he was just mobbed by people. He evidently and obviously is a very popular person here still.
He always has been within the party, and I was standing next to you as he went down there, and it just the look on his face struck me to be very sincere. I think he was surprised by that kind of a spontaneous reaction. He knew he was going to get a big hand and knew they were going to play music when Jim Wright introduced him from the podium, but I don't think he really expected that at all.
Well, even before they introduced him to the entire crowd, when he just came down to sit down in the Minnesota delegation, the applause started obviously in the Minnesota delegation, but it spread throughout the convention hall, and I think these people are very, very happy to see him. I think a lot of people that I've talked to feel it's a shame that he wasn't asked to address the convention this time around.
And my guess is he would never, ever, ever say it, but he's a bit hurt too.
Yeah, he says he doesn't need another speech. That's what he told me when I asked him about it. He thinks they should get on with it, but I don't suppose you can spend as many years as he has in the limelight at a convention like this, and I kind of wish you were up there in front of the people again.
Well, you know, he before he moved from Washington back to the Twin Cities, I would talk to him, I don't know, once every 2 or 3 weeks by telephone. And all you'd have to do is mention the Reagan administration and ending policy you wanted to pluck out of the air. Wouldn't matter what it was.